Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is February 10th, and right now we are looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. You can see BC, Washington, Oregon here. Here goes an upper level low off the coast of Oregon, California. It's going to slide down across California, bring some valley rain, some mountain snows. Not a big precipitation maker, but it will keep the state cooler than normal here for the next couple of days. Now we're getting a break across Pacific Northwest as we go on into Saturday and Sunday before the next batch of cold air comes across Russia, the Bering Sea, and western Alaska, moves across the Gulf of Alaska into the Pacific Northwest. Big mountain snowfalls coming up here, and even a chance of a little bit of lowland snowfall here across the region. We'll take a look at those details here in a moment. Taking a wider look at things here, you can see Japan, Russia, Bering Sea, Alaska, BC, Washington, Oregon, Hawaiian Islands there. You can see this upper level low sliding down through California here as we go on in through the day Sunday. Here goes the next batch of cold air moving across Russia there, Bering Sea, Aleutians, Gulf of Alaska, and slams into the Pacific Northwest shown there. So that's our next round of cold air there flying across the Gulf of Alaska. This would be Tuesday morning shown here. Now this is looking at 850 millibar temperatures here, 5,000 feet. Put this into motion, and you can see the bit of a break we're going to get here as we go on into Saturday, Sunday before the next batch of cold air arrives. And look at these temperatures will start to cool down quite a bit by the time we get towards Monday night here. So we could even be flirting with a little bit of lowland snowfall across some of the Pacific Northwest here into the lower elevations. But temperatures are going to be kind of marginal with this system here, which is pretty typical here as we're moving on in through mid-February by this point. But you can see we do cool down quite a bit aloft here as we go on in through Monday night, Tuesday morning. This is 700 millibars here at 10,000 feet. You can see kind of the break we're getting here as we go on in through Sunday. Then you can see the next round of cold air arrive as we're going through the day Monday. So any kind of convergent zone activity is going to be able to tap some pretty cold air aloft here. As you can see, showing this is Tuesday morning, the pretty chilly temperatures aloft here at 700 millibars, 10,000 feet there. And that's what we're going to be counting on if we want any kind of lowland snow across Puget Sound over the Willamette Valley, southwest BC, for example. And this is, look at the Canadian, hot off the presses here. This is 10-meter wind speed. We're going to speed ahead to Sunday here. Now watch as we go on through Sunday. You can kind of see the westerly flow starting to come through the Strait of Juan de Fuca and the Chehalis Gap, starting to bring some convergent zone activity probably across the Puget Sound here as we go through the day Monday. Then you see the northerly start to push down the sound here as we go on in through Monday night there. Some interesting convergent zone activity would be present with this kind of scenario here. More on that here in a moment. Here's the European 925 millibars. Put this into motion. We're going to fly ahead to Sunday here, and then you can see that westerly flow and convergent zone signature here across the central Puget Sound showing up there, as well as some northwesterly flow down the Strait of Georgia. We could have some convergent zone activity a bit further north as well. And as we go on into Monday night here, you see this northerly is trying to push down the sound as well, trying to highlight some of the central Puget Sound here a little bit as we go, but temperatures are going to be marginal. We're going to have to tap that cold air aloft to get any kind of chance for any kind of accumulating snowfall down to the surface here across the Puget Sound. Now looking at the European, hot off the presses, 12Z. This is 24-hour snow, Kuchera ratio in inches. Put this into motion as well. Going to move ahead to Monday here, and you can kind of see some of that convergent zone activity kind of setting up across the Puget Sound here. So we still have a great deal of uncertainty. It's probably going to be the case until we get up into the day of this event, just to try to see where these bands exactly set up here. But you can see SeaTac, talking about a half an inch there as we go on in through Tuesday morning. Temperatures are really cooling down by this point on into Tuesday morning. And you can see, some flirtation with some of the snowfall here in the lower elevations and big snowfall amounts across some of the mountains. I mean, look at Snoqualmie Pass could get up over 1.5 feet. Stevens, big amounts as well, all the way down to the Washington Cascades, all the way down through Oregon as well, as we go on in through early next week. Now check out the Canadian of this morning. I have to show this because it's kind of an interesting scenario. We saw how it brought those northerlies down the Puget Sound as we go on into Monday night. And look at the snow kind of pile up across some of the central and southern sound here, Tacoma towards SeaTac here. I mean, some pretty hefty amounts here setting up in a convergent zone band there. I don't expect this to happen, and this is just kind of a fantasy right now, but it does kind of show the hit and miss nature of this setup coming in here. Any area that gets underneath any one of these bands is probably going to get some snowfall, maybe down towards the surface here, at least on the higher hills, and some areas just aren't going to get any, depending on where this convergent zone activity sets up. So we'll continue to watch this here over the next couple of days. We have a little bit of time to continue to watch this system. This is this morning's European run. This is 3-hour liquid equivalent precipitation. We put this into motion to Sunday. See the next system start to arrive here going through Sunday. Seattle's rain shadowed initially here. Then we start to create this convergence zone activity across some of the central and northern Puget Sound here as we go on in through the day Monday. And you see this activity hang on all the way in through Monday night here. And we're really going to be cooling off the atmosphere by this point. So that's when we could start to flirt with some snowfall here across some of the central and northern Puget Sound there. And same with Willamette Valley too. We're going to be tapping some pretty cold air aloft. So any kind of organized shower activity is going to bring that snow level down to the higher hills on in through Tuesday. Now, this is lightning flash density potential. We're going to speed ahead up until Monday here and just kind of show you here. I talked about this on my Twitter a little bit yesterday. It's been highlighting some potential for some lightning strikes here across the Puget Sound with the convergent zone activity as we go on in through the day Monday into Monday afternoon. You can kind of see that with those convergent zone bands out there that would help tap some of that colder air aloft and bring it down towards the surface. So we do even have an outside chance of some thunder snow here across some of the area. And it might even be a little bit more likely here with some of the convergent zone activity towards the foothills or even the mountains maybe as we go on in through Monday night. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I've seen thunder snow out of this type of setup before in my life, actually several times. So keep your fingers crossed. Maybe we'll get it. We'll see how this trends. This is looking at 6 hour, 2 meter minimum temperature here. We're going to speed ahead towards this early next week as well. You can see Monday, you can see the temperatures are marginal. They're up into the lower 40s in some cases here. So you're going to need to tap some of that cold air aloft to bring those temperatures down. But by the time you get towards Tuesday morning, you can see temperatures dropping across the Puget Sound here quite nicely. Warm up a bit during the day Tuesday, and you can see going on into Wednesday morning, some 20s probably across the Puget Sound. So anything that fell would probably be refreezing at this point. So watch for some cold temperatures here in the wake of this system as we go on in through early and mid this upcoming week, shown there. This is Pendleton, Oregon. You can see Monday, Tuesday calling for some minor then moderate impacts here with some big mountain snows coming on in here and some freezing and refreezing of the roadways out there across eastern Washington and Oregon, as would be the case really across a lot of the areas of the Pacific Northwest. This is looking at Seattle, Tacoma here. This is yesterday afternoon's this is the deterministic run actually, and you can see some of these chillier temperatures showing up on in through Tuesday and Wednesday morning here. So watch out for that. This cold air shot is coming here, and if things line up just right, some of you might see some snowfall here going on in through early next week. This is Portland. You can see some chilly temperatures there, 3 overnight lows into the 20s there, possible. This is all the way down towards Eugene. Cold temperatures all the way down through the Willamette Valley, as well as many places down in Oregon, as this cold shot is a pretty nice one. Now this is looking at Payne Field up there. Some of the ensembles are actually calling for some snowfall. The control up towards 2 inches there. Again, things are going to be marginal. It's going to be slushy, and once it stops snowing, you're going to stop tapping that colder air aloft, and you're probably going to bring those temperatures above freezing once you stop pulling down that colder air from above. So by the time you get into Tuesday morning, though, you could still drop to below freezing early in the morning on Tuesday. So you got to watch for some of that freezing and some of whatever falls on the nighttime Monday going into Tuesday morning. This is Portland International. I don't expect too much in the way of accumulating snowfall, but we could see some. Again, the temperatures are going to be pretty marginal here, especially outside of any active showery precipitation bands. This is Eugene down there. You could see a little bit of snowflake activity down there as well. Snoqualmie Pass. This is kind of continuation of what's going on today. And this is with that system arrival as we go on in through the day Monday into Tuesday morning. There are some nice snowfall amounts likely for Snoqualmie Pass. Same thing with Mount Baker here as well. Could get up over a foot with that system coming in here on Monday into Tuesday morning. Crater Lake. Nice round of snowfall probably coming there as well. This is Whistler up here. Yesterday I made a mistake, so it's 2.5 centimeters equals 1 inch here. I might have said something different yesterday, but you can see this is in centimeters here, but you can see the couple rounds of snowfall going on here on in through early next week for Whistler up into BC. This is the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. This extends all the way out through February 19th here. You can set upper level low, going to keep things a little bit chilly here across California. There should be another upper level low arriving later in the period as well. Keep things below average across the southwest there. 6 to 10 day precip, a little bit above average here across much of the west. 8 to 14 day again, that upper level low. The secondary one will keep California below average as well. And you can kind of see that signal extend up into the Pacific Northwest also. So there's 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook here as well. It does include much of the west here also. Now, before we go here, this is the GFS hot off the presses here too. This is 850 millibar temperatures. And I'll show you a couple things here. So here goes our system. You can see the cold air spilling out across the Aleutians or across the Gulf of Alaska into the Pacific Northwest here. And you can see that colder air arrive here. But then as we go out into the extended a little bit longer here, watch what happens as we continue with some ridging offshore here, and it allows some colder air to move down later in the period. And the fantasy GFS here never fails to amaze here with some pretty cold air across British Columbia, developing a nice mid-latitude cyclone here off the coast of Washington and Oregon. So we'll just kind of watch this off into the extended. It's just purely fantasy at this point, but it is kind of a nice signal to think about as of right now. So yeah, anyway, that system's likely to arrive on the day Monday here. So we have Saturday and Sunday, two full days to look at this system as it comes in. We'll try to pinpoint some of these details and see if our chances for a little bit of lowland snowfall increase or decrease as we go over the next couple of days here. But yeah, anyway, enjoy the nice day. Probably tomorrow across much of the Pacific Northwest. BC is going to get the rain first, then it'll eventually translate down across Washington as we go on in through Sunday, and that cold air starts to arrive on Monday there. So anyway, we will continue to check this out. Check on my Twitter, Seattle Weather Guy, for more updates during the day today. And we will do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.